Hi everyone. I'm to do Mixed Media Morsels Motivations, page 7 for July. And I thought about something I wanted to do, and so I did it in a different book. And I decided I want to do it in our motivations book, or in my motivations book. And I'm going to show you what it looks like, and I'll show you, I'll try and recreate a similar page. I know it won't be identical, but this is the page I created yesterday, and I just love it. I love all the colors. I just love everything about it. I love all the little bits of black that are popped in here and there that make all those colors pop, and white as well. And I'm just really happy with how this page turned out, and so I want to do that in my motivations book for this month. So I'm just gonna put paints down. I'm gonna work with colors that play well together, you know, the ones that are gonna mix well and not make mud. And then when I start to use different colors, I will dry the page before I apply those. So I'm going to start with the warmer tones, and I know you can't see this. Let me move this. I've got my little craft mat over here to the side. Let me see if I can move this over here so you can see a little bit of what I'm doing here. There we go. And I'm just kind of spreading these around all over the page. And then also I'm going to take a baby wipe and while a little bit of this is wet, I'm going to use a piece of drywall tape, and I'm going to use it like a stencil, and I'm just going to kind of rub across the surface in a couple of areas. Whoops. And that will remove a little bit of the paint. So that looks kind of cool. I'll do a little bit over here. It's getting drier, so there we go. You can't rub it too hard because you do have just plain unprotected paper underneath there. So just be careful if you do that. Now this is kind of cool because this is rubbing some of the color off the baby wipe through the stencil and making the pattern there with color, which is kind of neat. It's tearing it just a little bit, so I have to be careful, but see how cool that looks? The little circles of color there. It's kind of neat. Whoa. Well, I sure dropped my ribbon in the paint. And I don't care about the ribbon too much because this one's coming apart anyway, and I'm probably going to need to replace it. But I don't really want it to get all over my book, so I think I'm going to go ahead and cut it loose, just because I don't want to mess everywhere. There we go. that was a potential mess in the making. Okay, back to the project. So now, you know, a lot of this may not even stay on the page. I mean, it's going to get covered. A lot of this is going to get covered up. So I'm not specifically attached to anything I'm putting on here. I'm just getting color down and just seeing what happens. This is fun for me because you just never know what's gonna happen. You don't know what's gonna be the end result, and I love that. All right, so I do want to make a little bit of yellow while I have the warm colors on my brush here. I just want to make a little bit of a brighter yellow with some white in the yellow I had out here. And I'm going to put some of that here. also take your baby wipe and kind of soften the edges and blend it a little bit. But again, it's just plain paper underneath. You can always protect your page with gesso if you want to. I'm just going to try to be really careful and not wet it too much so that it won't tear. But you know, sometimes I want to have some brush strokes, and sometimes I might want to have it look a little bit more blendy. So that's what I'm kind of going after there. Okay. Now, you know, this is one of those exercises that it don't look all that great right now. You know, the first initial layers never look wonderful. They just don't, because it's just the beginning. So I'm going to dry this, and then we're going to move on to another color. I've got some tissue paper that I just scribbled with a Sharpie marker on one day just to make some little scribbly marks. And I'm going to tear a couple of bits of this off and glue it on my page. Like I said, some of this may end up not showing up at all, but it might show through, and that's what you kind of look for, just to see if anything does end up peeking through in the end. I do like how the grid lines on the check register are showing through. So now it's starting to have some more interest, which is cool. All right. Now let's put some more paint on. I'm cleaning my brush a little bit better this time because I'm changing over to the cooler colors. That way we can avoid the mud issue. Okay. Let's see here. Let's get the teal color. Start putting some of that in place. These Dilutions paints are pretty translucent, so hopefully we'll still be able to see some of these bits underneath. Okay. Now see, by putting the white in, you can see that it made the paint a little bit more opaque, which is fine. Not a problem. I love just seeing how things go and what can be accomplished just by playing and not having a... I mean, I do have a plan. I do want this page to look similar to that other one, although we know it's not going to be exact. But I do think it's fun just sitting down and seeing what happens when you start putting paint on paper. I love it. It's fun, fun. I'm going to add a little bit more of the blue, I think, in this area, just to just to bring some more of that back over here. There's a little white mixed in with it. And I know you're thinking to yourself, no, Kat, no, this is not going to come out to look good at all. It's just not going to work. But I'm telling you, it's amazing how things turn out in the end. So, because this looks just like a mishmash of ugly right now. Because I mean, it's not intended to look pretty, not yet, not yet. But it will in the end. And that's the fun, the fun of getting there. I think a lot of times we get frustrated when we're at the beginning stages of things and they just don't look like what we envision in our mind, but they're not supposed to. They're not supposed to look like anything until you start getting it to the finished stage, till you get enough layers on there that it makes sense for you, you know, and it works. So I'm just mishmashing paint here and there. I'm not doing anything that's any particular technique or anything. I'm just putting paint down wherever I just feel like it needs a little more here, it needs a little more there. So that's what I'm doing. And it's not anything technical. It's not anything that I know that you don't know. It's just putting paint on paper. Okay? So just keep playing with it and keep adding whatever you think is necessary. And like I said, whatever you do put down, don't get attached to it because it's liable to get covered up. Remember all those little dots I put on in the beginning? There's just a couple of them showing here and there. Almost everything in the center got covered. And that's okay, you know. You can add more of those if you want to. As you start adding more layers and you remember something you did before that you liked, put it back. It's as easy as that. Simple as that. Okay, I think I'm pretty much done now with the adding paint. Although, when I look at it, I think I do want a little bit more orange back in here. So I'm going to dry this and I'll put a little bit more orange back in. And then I think I'll be happy with the paint layers. Okay, I think I might put a little bit more of the orange on with my finger through this stencil. And it won't be perfect and it won't be, you know, what we sometimes think things should look like, but it's going to be fun and messy, just like the rest of this project. Pretty messy. See, that's messy. I'm good with that. It's okay. Now there's a lot of paint on the outside here. I'm going to even add a little bit more on the outside here, and then I'm going to flip it over and stamp it. Cool. Okay. Do that again over here. Let's see, maybe right here. Love that. That's fun. Let's see. I might put a little bit of orange over here. Just, it needs a little white in it. Make it a little bit more opaque. adding another layer of this to just make it a little bit more opaque. That looks much better. And we'll do that down here too, so it shows up a little bit more. There we go. Yep, love it. I might put one or two of those over here, maybe just one. I guess it's going to be there. Okay. I decided I wanted a little bit of pink back in, so I'm just putting a little bit of the darker pink here and there. And this little piece of drywall tape, I'm going to just tear it where I had put paint on it. And I'm just going to add a little bit of that to my page. Okay. Yeah, let's see, where do I want to put it? I think I might make two pieces out of it actually. Let's put one here. And one up here. There we go. So now we have a little bit of literal texture on there. Okay. All right, I think I'm done with the paint. So it's starting to shape up. So now I'm going to collage a couple of bits onto the page, possibly using paper, possibly using washi tape, and let's see where it goes from there. I've got some little bits of book paper that I think will look really nice on the page. I think I like this here. Okay. That's kind of cool. Let's take this little bit that's left over, put it right here. Okay. So see, already this page is looking more interesting now. It's already got a better look to it just by adding a couple of bits of the drywall tape and a couple of bits of the book print. It just makes a difference, you know, and it adds more interest and it suddenly begins to look better. Okay, I think I'll do one more piece of the book paper over here. Just going to tear a small piece to put over there. Okay, let's see. Yep, right there. Okay. Definitely like the third piece added. It makes it so balanced to me. I might need to add one more of those. Got a little bit of it left here. Let's see. Yeah, I think I'll put some over here. I actually want to paint it. I think I want it to be more yellow colored. So we don't have any of the yellow. We've got pink and orange, so I'm going to put a bit of yellow on it. Yep. All right, so I've got yellow there. I'm going to dry that, and then I'll place it on the page. I'll do here. Okay, I think I'm going to use the white Posca pen and just do a little bit of just scribbling in the background, you know, just to add interest. Okay, now I do want to add a little bit of washi tape. And this is where some of the black is going to come in. I really like this Dina Wakley media tape. It's got a black script writing on it, and I really like it. It adds so much pop for projects like this. I just love it. Any kind of mixed media project, it really works. Anytime I've ever used it, I've really, really loved how it turned out, how it looked with the addition of the tape. Okay. And it just looks like, you know, I've scribbled it with black on it. So if you don't have any of this tape, by all means, scribble with black too, because it's the same thing. That's exactly what that looks like. So I'm going to add a little bit of this in a couple of places. I just love how it looks. It's just so neat. I'm also going to take just a tiny bit of paint on my finger and just add it in these areas where the pieces have been added so that they kind of blend into the page. Just doing a little bit of paint and then tapping it off a little bit, and then just, you know, kind of making it appear as though it's these bits are part of the page, you know. And I might even do that here and there on the page itself, because it just adds a little bit more. Okay, so there's how it's looking. Okay. And now I'm going to do a little bit of stamping. I've got a little stamp from, it's an old retired stamp from Stampin' Up! That's got some little dots, random little dots on it. So I'm going to do that in just a couple of places in black. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do is I mixed some white in with my pink over here to the side, and I've got a little tube. I'm not sure where it came from, but I'm going to dip it in the pink paint and just add some little rings here and there, just for a little bit more of the texture. And these don't end up being perfectly round because the plastic is a little bit flexible. So it's kind of cool, because you know we're not all about perfection around here. We're about the fun of it more than anything else. Okay, that's fun. It's a little bit of brightness here and there. Okay, now I'm adding a couple of white dots. Let's see here. Now I'm just going to take my pencil and draw a simple little flower shape. The one that I used on the other page in my altered book was a stamp, but that's so easily drawn. I think that we don't even need the stamp, so I'm going to just very loosely draw a stem going up, and I'm just going to do a couple of petals, just like petal shapes or leaf shapes. Okay, one on each side. Actually, yeah, that's okay. All right, and then I'm going to do one that's like sticking up in the back behind those two, and then I'm going to add one on either side. Just real loose little leafy petals. Okay, I hope you can see that. Yeah, you can see that. So that's exactly what, you know, basically what that stamp is like. And I'm just going to paint that in with some white. Before I paint this, just to be on the safe side, I thought it would probably be a good idea to put some clear gesso over this, because you know how sometimes your colors can come up and, you know, come up through your white paint. And so I thought, you know, let's just prevent that by putting a coat of clear gesso on there. So this is the one I have. It's Art Basics by Prima or Finnabair, one or the other, probably both. Yeah, all of the names are on there. Finnabair, Prima, and Art Basics. But I like to use this when it's not gritty like some of the others are. I do have to stir it up each time. It kind of separates just a little bit. So I just take a, you know, popsicle stick and mix it up so that there's no liquid floating on the top. And then, you know, once I've got that done, then I'm good. And I can use it just like that. I'm just going to put not a heavy coat, but, you know, just a thin coat of this over. I'll just go ahead and coat the whole page, because that way everything will look the same as far as the way the page looks. Right, so I'll dry that up and then I'll come back to my painting of the flower here. I did about 3 coats of white paint on the flower petals, and it was still, I could see through. It wasn't making it quite opaque enough, so I switched over. For the last coat, I used some of this Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White, and that did the trick. It's just really good, nice opaque covering now, so that's good. So now I'm going to add the outline. I'm just going to outline with black Posca pen. And the way the stamp looked, it was really like a drip or a splat of black paint here, so I'm just kind of, it doesn't really want to write so great on top of the on top of that bleed proof white. It kind of wants to dig into it, so I may have to get some paint out to do that part. But this part looks fine. I mean, this part works fine on the regular paint. Okay. So this is meant to look like a drip that's running down. Like that. I think I'll make this a little bit wider. Like that. And then we'll get a little bit of black paint to put the rest of that in. Actually, I'm opting for the Bombay India ink, which is also Dr. P.H. Martin's. I'm going to use a little of that, I think, instead of the paint. And I'm just going to kind of touch the tip to the flower there and make it look kind of like the paint's kind of, or the ink's been kind of dripped onto it. There we go. Cool. Okay, now I have to dry that. So our quote for this month is, "The more we do, the more we can do." And that's by William Hazlitt. So I'm going to attach that to this side of the page, and then probably outline around it, and then we'll be done. Love that. I love how it turned out. Just makes me happy, all the color, and I love that quote because it's true. The more we do, the more we create, the more we're able to do, the more it works, you know. It's like practice makes perfect thing, although we're not really going for perfect, but it's the idea that the more you do it, the better you get at it. So the more we do, the more we can do. I'm gonna thicken the line around can so it's accentuated. Like that. Yeah. That looks good. Okay. I really love this. I was thinking I might want to put a little piece of washi tape or something right in this area because it just looks like it's missing something. Okay, I found washi tape that I wanted to use. I thought all the colors would work really well, but I didn't want it to blend into the background. So what I did was I stuck a piece of it onto just a piece of printer paper, and I checked to see if I could tear it, and it does tear. So I'm just tearing the tape and the paper because I wanted this particular piece to have a torn edge, as if I had torn it out of like a piece of printed paper, like scrapbook paper or something like that, instead of having the straight edges on it. So, all right, so now I need to tear this just a little bit. Okay, this straight edge is going to go up in here. I'm going to trim that off with the scissors. I just think this will be really cute, like right about here. And what that does for me, it brings the white down to a third area, so you have your eye goes around the page better. It was lacking a white space, white spot, so I'm going to glue that down, and then we're going to call it done. That's another trick you can do. If you want white space behind your washi tape, just stick it to a piece of paper first, and then you can cut it out or tear it, or whatever you wanna do to make it show up. So okay, I love that. I still have to replace my little my little sorry ribbon over here, but I love that. I think that turned out to be quite fun. It is very different from the first one. Of course, I knew it would be. I knew that there would be no way I could actually duplicate this other page, and so the main thing was I wanted the colors and I wanted the flower, and I think it kind of does that. You know, it gives the same kind of feel, and you don't have to pay for an expensive stamp. You can just kind of draw out your own little flower and paint it, so it can be done. So yeah, I just love that so much. So I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I hope you will see what you can create by just grabbing some colors and putting them on your page and see what turns out. And don't give up if it doesn't look like you want it to look in the beginning, because it will change, and with every layer I added, it became more and more likable. It became more and more pleasing to the eye. So keep at it. Don't give up. You know, we did that a couple of times back. Don't quit. and give this a try. I think you'll really enjoy it. You obviously don't have to do exactly what I've done on my page. You can do whatever you'd like to do. Use whatever colors you'd like and put whatever you want on it, as long as you would please stick with the quote that I gave you. But I think it's going to be exciting just to see what everybody will come up with, because I think it's a fun little way to create a page. This can be done on a larger art journal page. I mean, you saw the altered book page I did. So it can be done on a canvas. There's just many things, many ways you can use just the painting technique and making layers and marks and things on your project. So give it a try, and be sure and post them in our Mixed Media Morsels Facebook group. And we will see you in the next video. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.